Hi, my name is T. Waldron, and welcome to our second session of Books and Brews. Today we're talking about The Thin Blue Lie, a book by Greg Dillon. And in this segment, we're going to hear about how he decided he wanted to be an FBI agent, and then how he followed his dream. The part of this that I think applies to all of us is setting our goal and then pursuing it to the best of our ability. He set his goal, he approached it, and then things seemed to line up for him. When he was going to school for criminal justice, there were only 3 schools in the country that had this 4-year degree. And one of them happened to be directly across the street from his high school. So I feel as though sometimes the universe lines up or God lines up to help us achieve our goals when we take some steps first. And this also has to do with our bodies. We have in our brain what's called reticular activating system. And that is the part of our brain that decides what we pay attention to. Our eyes take in so much information, our brain can only focus on a small percentage of it. So when we have a goal in mind, our brain is there to help us. And this reticular activating system will see different opportunities that perhaps we may not have noticed if we weren't setting that goal and actively moving towards it. Are there times in your life when you set a goal and then God helps you or the universe helps you and it's a very cool synchronicity. And I don't say coincidence because I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything happens for a reason. And it's up to us to find out what that reason is. And you'll find out later in the book when he does achieve his goal, then what happens. Without further ado, let's hear from Greg. So your dream was to become an FBI agent?
Yes. When I was in high school, you had to physically research topics of interest. You just couldn't go on a computer and find out what you needed to know. So I met with my guidance counselor and I explained to him what I was hoping to do. And he said you would need a 4-year college degree and 3 years of experience in your field. By coincidence, and I was just very lucky, the University of New Haven was one of the few colleges in the country at the time that had a 4-year accredited criminal justice program. And then they were kind enough to offer me a partial academic scholarship. My aspiration had always been to become an FBI agent, but I also realized I needed the background and experience to build some sort of a resume. And my plan was then to be able to apply as an FBI agent.
So where'd you go after that?
Not too far away, the Brford Police Department. I applied, and fortunately, I think I graduated in May, and that October, I began training as a supernumerary. I guess they still use the term. It's like an auxiliary. And that was my intro into getting into the police department. Brford at the time would hire supernumeraries and use it sort of like a farm team to evaluate potential full-time officers.
That's cool.
So you worked special events and usually weekends, and in time the supervisors, sort of got a sense of whether you were going to be a good fit for the job.
What did you think of Brford? Was that a...
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Back then it was a little rowdier of a town because it had such a high percentage of liquor licenses. I mean, they had every type of bar, tavern, restaurant, discotheques. I mean, back then, it ran the full gamut. And not to mention, the number of package stores that they had. So a lot of the misconduct was often alcohol related in some way or another. So it kept us very busy at night. Well, I didn't know anybody really in the FBI, but a Brford police officer, he had the benefit of a law degree. So he had a little bit of a step up. We applied at both about the same time. He was actually already in the FBI Academy when I started at the FBI Academy. Oh yeah, no, it was very helpful. We even drove back and forth a couple of times together, so it was great. Yeah. The game plan was New York, Newark, or Boston, because those being larger offices were always in need of, it's like fresh bodies as people would retire or transfer out. So my game plan was to get back to New England. That would be my opportunity when I came up for my second office transfer, which should have been within 3 to 5 years. But they pulled a fast one when they combined our offices. When I say combined, we were absorbed. We were about a 60 agent office in Alexandria. Washington field office was approximately 600 agents. So they were 10 times our size. And when they absorbed us, it did not dawn on me at that time that this now became my second office, and it negated my opportunity for a transfer.
So then how long would it be till you could get back north?
I asked someone at headquarters in the transfer unit what the time frame would be, and I was told 10 to 15 more years, and I was coming up on my 5th year anniversary. And that killed it for me, because that was basically going to be my entire career in the Washington, D.C. area. I mean, it's expensive, it's overcrowded. The work was very challenging, but the idea of living there for most of my career was not appealing at all. And when I was hired, they asked me if I had any questions or concerns, and I just said, all my family and friends are in Connecticut. I would love to get back at least to the area. And they were like, well, you may not get back to the New Haven office, but the New England area will be easy because you'll have a second assignment within 3 to 5 years. So that was my goal.
Sure.
And when that was removed, I had to look at other options. And my option was try to find a similar position, but that's in Connecticut. In the Division of Criminal Justice, the Chief State Attorney's Office was the option I thought worked best for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then how did you get to Connecticut?
By applying right to the Chief State Attorney's Office. And fortunately, with my background at that point, I was a good candidate. And I think I applied in November and interviewed in December, and in January I was already back at home.
Wow.
Working
That's
my new
great.
job. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Wow, so that was a shocker. He finally achieved his goal of getting into the FBI. He thought he'd transfer back home after a few years, and then they closed his branch and it got absorbed into the Washington branch, and he couldn't do his transfer for 15 years, and he had to leave the FBI after having that dream. Did that ever happen to you, where you finally achieve your dream and then you have to decide, is this still what I want? Because he wanted to be close to family and friends. That was always his goal, to get back up to New England. And he had to shift his goal, his path, to achieve that goal. So it's pretty interesting. Do you set a goal and then stick to it no matter what, even if circumstances change, or are you pretty flexible? There's going to be some discussion questions coming up. Feel free to watch those by yourself if you're watching this alone, or if you're in a group. It'd be a great discussion to talk about your life and what you think of his decisions and how they might relate or not relate to yours. From myself to yourself, thank you for joining me on this journey.